murderer whose name was Jesus Barabbas. Now we have two Jesus. We have our Jesus Christ, the Messiah, and Jesus Barabbas. After giving this response to Annas, one of the servants to the high priest, on hearing what Jesus had said, became so upset, stood up and gave Jesus a slap. But Jesus didn't retaliate, he didn't try to fight back. Then he said to Jesus, is this how to reply, or is this how to talk to your high priest? But Jesus kept quiet. After everything, then they took Jesus Christ to Pilate. They blindfolded him, they beat him, pushed him, spat on him, and took him to Pilate. So who was Pilate? Pilate was the governor that year. The whole assembly, the crowd, they all rose against Jesus. They still brought their false allegations, their false testimonies. They brought it to Pilate. And then Pilate asked them, what has this man done? What was his crime? But after Pilate had listened to everyone, Pilate was not convinced that Jesus Christ has committed these crimes, and he said to them, I find no basis for a charge against this man. This man has not committed a crime for me to put him to death. Therefore, he doesn't deserve the death penalty. But the crowd insisted that Pilate has to put Jesus Christ to death, that Jesus Christ deserved the death penalty. Pilate was a good judge. He wasn't a biased governor. Pilate called together the chief priests, the rulers, and the people, and said to them, you have brought this man to me as someone who is deserving of death, after all the accusations and everything. So Pilate told them that he had listened to them and he had examined Jesus Christ, but he had found no basis for their charges against him. Therefore, he's going to just punish him and release him to them. But after the crowd heard what Pilate had said, they were not satisfied. They became very angry, and they still insisted that Pilate must put Jesus to death. They insisted that Jesus deserved the death penalty. I mean, he didn't commit any crime. All these were false allegations. So, as Pilate has said, he would punish him and then release him to the crowd. So Pilate had Jesus flogged. Jesus was flogged multiple times. After he flogged Jesus, he brought Jesus back to the crowd and tried to release him to them. But they said no, they are not going to take him back. They need him to give Jesus the death penalty. When Pilate saw that this is getting nowhere, that his judgment was not accepted by the people were beginning to protest. Then he gave up and he took water in front of the crowd and in front of Jesus Christ and told them that he is washing his hands. So Pilate washed his hands in front of the people and in front of Jesus Christ, telling them he is innocent of this man's blood and it is not his responsibility. And he handed Jesus Christ over to the people to have him crucified. Before Pilate released Jesus Christ to the crowd to have him crucified, there used to be a custom where the governor will release a prisoner chosen by the crowd. At that time, there was a well-known criminal, a well-known murderer, whose name was Jesus Barabbas. Now we have two Jesus. We have our Jesus Christ, the Messiah, and Jesus Barabbas. So Pilate proposed a request to the crowd because he was trying to help Jesus get released. Pilate proposed to the crowd that should he release Jesus Christ to them, and they all said no. They insisted that they don't want Jesus Christ to be released. Instead, Pilate should have Jesus Barabbas released. The people chose a criminal, a murderer, above an innocent man, above an innocent blood. And they all knew they were lying. They all knew that this man didn't commit this crime, but they just wanted him to be killed and crucified. Pilate released Jesus Barabbas to the people and handed Jesus Christ, our Messiah, to be crucified according to what the crowd wanted.